Joining us now on Encounter is Father Phil Cleary, who is president of Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos International. Thank you so much for being with us, Father Phil.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Maybe if you could tell us a little bit about NPH and get us rolling.
NPH, Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos, the name means our little brothers and sisters. We're a series of orphanages founded over 60 years ago by an American priest who was working in Mexico at the time. We have about 3,400 children right now in our care. We've cared for over 16,000 over the last 60 years. We have homes in 9 of the poorest and most violent countries in the hemisphere: Mexico, Honduras, Haiti, Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, Dominican Republic, Peru, and Bolivia. But more than an orphanage, our philosophy and our goal is to really try to form a family with these kids. And so we do that in several ways by giving them a sense of security. So we only accept entire families of children. Okay. If they won't give us all the boys and girls of the same mother, we won't accept anyone. Otherwise, we'd have just boys. Okay. The girls make nice house servants. Okay. No one is thrown out for any reason. Though once you turn 18, you know that our patience is limited. No? And we put a heavy emphasis on education because our kids don't have connections outside of the orphanage, and so we give them the very best education possible. Kids don't leave at 18. We put them through university and even medical, dental, or law school if they can make the grades. That's
great. Maybe you could set it up for us too. What are situations where these kids are coming from? What are some of the hardships that they're facing and when they arrive?
There's absolutely abominable things that people do to children. We have children who've been sold into slavery, children who were abused or even tortured, children who were abandoned by their parents, children who witnessed fatal violence perpetrated against their parents. We have our newest home is on the bloody northern border of Mexico, where we receive children whose parents were victims of the drug war being waged there. But despite the horrible backgrounds of our kids, you'd be surprised at how happy and well-adjusted the vast majority of them are.
It's amazing. What are some of the needs that the homes have? So you have so many kids coming in. I'm sure there are plenty of needs that they face.
Always money and personnel.
Yeah, yeah.
So since the governments in the countries where we serve send us children, never any funding to support them, we always depend on the goodness of many friends. And most of our income actually is through our godparent program, where we ask individuals to sponsor a child and take care of for $30 a month, their most basic needs of food, clothing, medical, education.
And I know we had the privilege of having one of the musical groups too. Can you tell us about that and how music can help some of these kids as well?
Since the very beginning, our founders put a great emphasis on the kids being able to use their artistic talents. So most of the homes have guitar groups and traditional dance groups. So I'm based in Mexico with the kids there, so I'm here in the Boston area for a couple of weeks now with a small dance group and a group of our guitarists, musicians. And we go around from parish to parish. We do shows. I get to preach on weekends. We ask people to help us through sponsorship. We do our dog and pony show as we run around from place to place.
Now, what's it been like for you? I forget now how many you've been with them for so many years.
31 years I've been in Mexico.
Talk about your personal experience, what it's been like for you working so long.
Oh, I'm sure God has a sense of humor. Because growing up on the north side of Chicago, I thought that the world ended at Madison Street, which is the divide between north and south. And all of a sudden I find myself in Mexico. I grew up, I never cared for rice and beans and tortillas, but that's the basis of the diet now. But I love what I'm doing. I love the kids. I worked at an orphanage in Chicago when I was in the seminary. Then my first assignment was a Mexican parish in Chicago. So it seems that God had his plan and the two themes just kind of came together.
And you live in Mexico right now with the kids as well too. And what's that experience like, being surrounded by so many young kids?
You don't get much sleep in. You don't get to sleep in very late, I should say. No, it's a great, they're life-giving to have so many kids. So in the home where I'm at, I'm split between two homes. The main home, we have about 600 kids on that campus, from kindergarten up to 9th grade. Then they go to high school in Cuernavaca, so I spend a couple days up there with the high school kids.
Okay.
And I travel around. Our university kids are up in Monterrey in the north of Mexico. And I also try to get to the other homes in the other countries, so I spend a lot of time on the road.
Excellent. And you mentioned sponsorship. What are some other, other ways that people can help? Volunteering as well?
Sponsorship and, like I said, money and personnel. We're always looking for volunteers. We have mission trips organized by different parishes around the country, come down to one of our homes for a week at a time. Some are just for teenagers. Other mission trips are family affairs. What's really a great help is volunteers. But for somebody to work directly with the kids, we ask for a year commitment. And that because the kids' whole history with significant adults have either died or walked out on them or done something to them. So we ask for volunteers who are going to work directly with the kids for a year. And we get most of those volunteers right after college. So we depend heavily on volunteers at all of our homes.
And for more information,
go to the website at www.nph.org, and we'd be glad to accept your help, either as a sponsor of one of our kids. If anybody is able to volunteer, we'd love to have you join our family yourselves.
excellent. Thank you so much, Father
Thank
Phil,
you.
for being with us today.
Appreciate it.